Waiters slash waitresses of Reddit, what's the most awkward first date you had to witness firsthand? Now for the comments. I worked at a higher end restaurant as a busser for a while and eventually was given a chance to serve in the bar area while a jazz band played. Most of the tables were just drinks and appetizers. My first shift, a woman in her 40s or 50s came in with a tall, dark, and handsome guy no older than 30. Nothing wrong with that in my eyes, but all of my interaction with them was the woman talking down to me on some sort of power trip, maybe to prove to her guy that she's an alpha female or something, dunno, and her ordering everything for her date. They had cocktails, ordered a bottle of wine, and had a couple entrees. She ordered ahi tuna, rare. She was very insistent on the rare, so much so that I put blue rare into the computer so everything would be fine. She sent back 4 separate plates, all too well done, to the absolute horror of her date. I informed her after the second that they wouldn't be taken off her bill, and she scoffed and made some comment about how she's loaded and it doesn't matter. After the 4 plates, she sent the last one back and asked for a shrimp cocktail instead. I left them to enjoy the music, brought the check, and when I came back to pick it up, her date was gone. And I don't mean went to the bathroom or went for a smoke. All of his things were gone, and he was nowhere to be seen for 30 minutes. She apologized to me and asked if I could take the ahi tuna, $45 each, off of her bill. Told her to pound dirt. Not really, but my manager did. Next day she wrote a 500-word review about me using my first name on the restaurant's Facebook page. My boss printed it out, framed it, and I still have it today. Edit, spacing. I would love it if my manager did that shit for me. I'm a chef and we get some ridiculous stuff posted on our Facebook. A favorite of mine is always complaints about well done steaks. Seems like her date saw a red flag. Good for him, and sucks that she treated you like dirt, but you got the last laugh in the end. Your boss sounds like a great person. Mine's not that dramatic, but I was waiting tables at a popular place in our downtown. The guy and his wife come in right at the end of lunch. That's not a problem, just stating to show we were not busy. Anyway, his wife orders fine, and he kinda grumbles, so I confirm what he wanted. He says yes. Well, I guess we either both had a miscommunication or he wanted a free meal, because when I served it, he said it was wrong. I told him I could comp the dish he didn't want and bring out something else. Keep in mind he ate nearly all of it already. He tells me no, and he wants the manager. So she comes out. He starts berating me, accuses me of taking 20+ minutes to even bring water, let alone drinks, apps, food, sides, etc. I hope people realize most point of sale systems are time stamped. My manager offered to comp everything, but she did state their entire time in the restaurant, including eating, was like 25 minutes. He starts acting like an asshole to her, stating how he's going to tell his friends never to go there, and he and his wife are never going to go there again. My manager, with a straight face, said okay then, that'll be $40, or whatever price it was. He was shocked and said she just offered him to comp the same thing, and she said I did, but since you're never coming back here again we'll take the money for services provided. He huffed and puffed, but signed the bill. We laughed about it with the staff. Just saw one on Valentine's Day. The date seemed to be going very well, actually, not awkward at all. They talked non-stop, no lulls in conversation. They were laughing, carrying on, and just generally having a good time. In fact, another server and I were laughing about how obnoxiously loud they were. Then I heard the gentleman say, and obviously you're not still married, right? Please tell me you're not still married. She said well, actually, and then things got very uncomfortable. It must not have been a deal breaker because they stayed at the restaurant another hour until we closed, but they were very quiet for the rest of the night. Hardly spoke to each other at all. This isn't just awkward, it's sad as hell. A teenage couple sharing an ice cream and holding hands very awkwardly. After they finished the ice cream they kept talking about their very adventurous sexual fantasies. They were around 14 years old. Super awkward to have to interrupt them to ask if they want anything else. I had these 2 people that were there on a first date. After the appetizers this poor man got the shits and was going back and forth to the bathroom all night. There was only a few other people in the restaurant at the time, so it was noticeable, and they were chuckling every time he got up. I honestly felt so bad for the guy. What the hell did you feed him? That's a rough first date. But then, you know that, if your date sticks around, is still into you, has a sense of humor about poop problems, that you've found a keeper. I legit saw the guy try to roofie the girl, like not even trying to be hidden about it. He did it right in front of me. The girl went to the bathroom, and I was cleaning the table next to them. I saw him take the powder out and slip it inside the drink. Another thing too, it was a pizza place. Who tries to roofie someone in a pizza place? Edit. Yes, I called the cops. Jesus, I like chaos, but I'm not an animal. Apparently a high school classmate of mine did this, or rather, tried to a coworker. Bartender also noticed, warned the girl, and the girl acted normal to stall him till the cops got there. I wonder if he's in jail yet. Did you let the girl know? Worked at a pub connected to a brewery in college. Dude comes in with a stunning woman. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous. Whole time they're sitting at the end of the bar, and you can hear the guy talking about how he has a room for them next door at the hotel in downtown. So they decide to go to the brewery next door. Gonna put a little dine and dash. They got over there and didn't realize we are on the same system. So he orders a couple of beers, and the bartender on the brewery side asks if he wants to add it to his tab. He looks over confused and says, "What tab? I've never been here." She prints off the restaurant bill plus his brewery tab. It's like $80 or so. He just blankly stares at the poor bartender, flies off the handle. The girl he was with ended up paying for it. They walked across the street and to the hotel. He has already invited her up. She stalls until her Uber gets there and then just dipped out. Kinda funny, kinda awkward, but that's what you get for dine and dash. Edit 1. Since this is asked about multiple times, when the bar was in dining hours, crowds were usually very manageable. We didn't take CCs, we would just give the bill at the end of the meal. Similar to a traditional restaurant. They waited for the later crowd to show up around 9 and dipped while we were getting busier. That's the whole reason they weren't caught trying to leave the bar in the first place. Edit 2. Thanks for the upvotes and award. Much appreciated. Edit 3. The girl wasn't a willing participant from what I could tell. She had no idea he had dine and dashed. I think she had gone to the restroom or something at some point, so he cold said, "Oh, I got it." Or something along those lines. In what world does a dine and dash ever sound like a good idea, but especially when on a date? This happened to me, but it was a friend, not a date. We are wrapping up dinner and I go to the restroom. When I get back he says I paid our bill. I said thanks, I'll buy drinks at the bar, which was a couple buildings down. We go to the bar and have a few drinks and suddenly I feel a tug on the back of my shirt. It's our waiter from the restaurant. He says, "You left without paying." In an embarrassed and shocked tone I said my friend paid for us. Well, apparently he didn't pay shit and the server went bar hopping just to find us. I went back over there and paid. I bitched out my buddy and never did anything like that with him again. Now, 10 or so years later, I still eat at that restaurant with my so and still wonder if they think I'm a dirtbag. That same server still works there. A couple was shown to their table and the guy was on the phone the entire time. I normally wait until guests are off their phones to give my spiel, the specials and such, and take a drink order, but he didn't show any sign of getting off the phone. I take the order, which the guy just holds his hand over the phone, talks over his date. When I come back, she attempts to order an app, a house specialty, and he tries to say the portions are large enough without. She orders a zucchini anyway. I get the dinner order and bring out the app. At this point, I hadn't been to the table when he hadn't been on the phone. While I was putting together the salad, the woman comes out to the lobby and asks to get her meal packed up. She ended up paying her half of the bill and ducking out. She told me this was their first date and she was set up by a soon-to-be former friend. Said she was going to be calling her friend as she walked out. When I brought the guy's meal to him, he asked where her dinner was and I told him what happened. He really thought she was in the bathroom. So, you mean on the phone, as in he wasn't even scrolling. He was talking to someone else on his phone the entire time. Good lord, looking at your phone constantly is bad enough, but this is a whole other level. I'm interested in the zucchini appetizer, could you please give more info about that dish? more sad than awkward, but here goes. For context, I'm a woman in a long-term relationship and was not hitting on the girl or anything. One day this very cute 20-ish girl comes in, orders, and cheerfully asks me if we have any board games that are great for 2 people. I worked in a concept bar where we had 700 plus board games you could play as long as you ordered something to drink. I show her a few games, she chooses one and sits at a table near the entrance. 30 min later, she comes and sadly asks me if we have any games you can play alone. I give her one and tells her if her date doesn't come, I'll give her a free shot. Another 40 min later, she comes back, I give her the shot and we talk a bit. Then she goes back to her table to play by herself. It was a busy night. Otherwise I would have played something with her. She seemed nice and was obviously sad. The guy ended up showing up almost 2 hours late, ordered a bit rudely. She paid for him and they spent less than an hour talking. He wasn't interested in playing a game and didn't really seem interested in his date either. He left early. She stayed a bit to talk with me as I started to clean up. I offered her another shot and drank one with her and she left all sad. I imagine she was excited for her date and thought the board games bar was a cute, fun idea for a first date, but the guy was so rude being late and not showing any interest, just sad. She came back a few times with friends though and was really a nice girl. A board game bar would be an epic first date. I feel genuinely sorry for her. I used to work at a sushi restaurant in Anchorage, and there was a girl who would come about once every few weeks with a different guy. Every single time, she ordered a hiyabbap, which is like a rice salad sashimi bowl, and it was giant. I've only ever seen a handful of people ever finish the entire thing in one sitting. She would finish the whole thing with chopsticks and always ask for a spoon towards the end. It was always fun watching the guys look stunned when she finished. One day she came with this dude that ordered what she did, and when they both finished the bowl, they ordered another and split it. Wish they had ended up together, but she came back with a different guy a couple weeks later. Edit. She never paid lol. Edit. More common pronunciations are hudabbap, hodabbap, and hodiabbap. It's a complicated word to romanize. The guy's card declines. I didn't want to embarrass him, so I waved him over near the credit card machine, so it would look like he needed to go to the bathroom. He told me to try it again, and I assumed he was going to move money over on his app. He went back to his date. Card declines again. The machine prints a receipt that states the reason for decline: insufficient funds. I keep trying 4 more times. I go over to the table and say I'm having an issue with the card. Might be our machine. Do you have another? I walk away with the new card and it declines. I wave him over. He gets up angrily and I'm guessing now the date has caught on. He proceeds to berate me saying that it must be our machines because he knows he has money. He starts making fun of me, questioning if I know what I'm doing. He is doing this in front of his date, I'm guessing to save face. Gives me another card. Declined. The date pays. My parents had a payment mix up on their first date too. Unlike in your story, it was an honest misunderstanding. This happened in the 80s when not every restaurant took credit cards and you couldn't take your ATM card to another bank's machine. Step 1. Dad has a certain restaurant in mind which takes cards. Step 2. Mom suggests a different restaurant she's been meaning to try and they go there instead. Step 3. They realize after they've ordered that this place is cash only. Step 4. They find out the closest ATM is at a bank where my dad doesn't have an account, but my mom does. Step 5. Dad spends 15 minutes pretending he's just thinking real hard about this dessert menu while mom jogs 2 blocks in high heels to an ATM that will take her card, gets the cash, and comes back to pay for dinner on a first date. Mind you, dad is all for gender equality, but he'd promised to pay and had to renege because of this mix-up. He was mortified. Anyway, they've been happily married 33 years now. Mom tells that story as a firm example of why you should be willing to give people second chances. At the end of the dinner, 2 couples on a double date dine and dash. I chased them down, and the girls had no clue. Their dates had told them they already paid. The girls ended paying. The guys had no cash. I worked at a restaurant in high school, along with a number of classmates. A group of 4 people that we all knew came in to eat, then left without paying. We just gave the manager their home phone numbers so she could speak with their parents. A Colombian friend of mine told me about this friend of hers who went on a date with a young guy from Scotland. The guy was trying to impress her and ordering drinks for them, like high-end liquor drinks, and talking about how cheap everything is in Bogota compared to Scotland. The problem is, while it is a lot cheaper usually, high-end liquor from outside the country is not at all cheaper. In fact, it is more expensive. So she ended up running out of the restaurant with the guy. They were caught. They ended up putting all the blame on the guy though. The girl was mortified. I'm not sure what happened to the young Scottish guy, but I imagine it involved a night in a very scary jail and a Western Union money order from mom and dad. Not a first date, but when I first started bartending I had a woman who was very obviously stood up. She got there, ordered a drink, and would look around every once in a while. I saw her use her phone a couple times and her mood just got sadder, until she finally put her phone upside down on the bar and ordered food an hour later. I wiped what I could off her bill, then paid the rest myself, told her it was on the house. In my career it's happened 2 more times, once with another woman and once with a guy. I did the same thing. Nothing sucks more than eating alone and defeated. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes and nice comments. Made my night. Edit 2. Seriously guys, you're so sweet. NGL today was kinda rough, but everyone has brightened so much. I really appreciate it. That's really kind of you. Man, thank you. I got stood up and literally, as soon as I put my card down to pay my bill, my date walked in, drunk. Quickly said hi to me, then went over to the other side of the bar, where he made out with another person. He then waddled over and asked me to join them on the other side of the bar. Like, no. Lady comes in to get a table, says she's expecting a man, and gives us a brief description. He shows up about 10 minutes later, and she starts saying she knew it. He looks very surprised and scared. I took a drink order, and when I get back they are gone. The hostess fills me in that in my absence they had a heated but civil exchange. The man was married to the lady's cousin, also the lady was married. Apparently they had been texting for a while after meeting via Craigslist personals. I'm assuming the married but looking section. Don't know if they hooked up in the end or just called the whole thing off. I worked at a bar where like 50% of our business was from Tinder dates. This one time, 2 guys came in separately and sat at different tables by themselves along the same wall. They were both facing the door and clearly waiting for dates. Eventually a woman comes in, walks up to the closest guy, sits down and they start chatting. They start ordering drinks. After 5 minutes, the other guy, who is still waiting by himself, gets up and walks over to the couple. He says hi to the girl and is like aren't you so and so? I'm so and so, we were supposed to be meeting. She was clearly flustered. Lots of awkward laughter, and she gets up and goes with the other guy to the other table. Couple minutes later the other woman shows up and sits with first guy, and he tells her all about it. Lol. Didn't happen to me, but I was working while the bartender got to experience it. Guy and girl came in. Super weird chemistry all night. The guy is obviously trying to impress her by being a huge douche, and she looks like she's just pretending to not hate it, so the date will end faster. At the end of the night, she says she'll take an Uber home, and he awkwardly leaves without her. She then waits for the bartender to come back over, orders another cocktail, and asks for his phone number. I was working at a high-end steakhouse when a couple comes in on a first date. The man was really friendly and seemed like he knew his wine. He orders a nice and fairly expensive bottle. As I'm presenting the bottle, the woman's phone rings and she answers. Apparently, her close friend just broke up with her boyfriend and is distraught. The woman asks if her friend can join them for dinner. The man says of course, and is really gracious about the whole thing. The friend shows up within a few minutes and is a crying hot mess. I bring the friend an empty glass, and before I can pour it, the first woman grabs a bottle and fills the glass to the brim, then requests another bottle. After I open the second bottle, the man excuses himself to the restroom. While he is away, I overhear the friend expressing concern about the menu prices. The first woman then says, "Get whatever you want. I'm not going to ever see this loser again." So then I catch the man coming out of the bathroom and tell him what I just heard. He says, "What do I do?" I tell him he is welcome to leave through the delivery door in the back and I will play dumb for his date. The guy expresses his gratitude and slips me $100 on his way out. The woman becomes increasingly irate as the night goes on and she realizes the man isn't coming back to buy them food. She waits until closing time before settling the alcohol tab and leaving hungry in a taxi. Ace move. I'd be so glad for a helping hand like you. It's just a dick move from that woman. She deserved it. Man, I honestly don't know what I'd do in that situation. Kudos for quick judgment. I think I might just overthink what I heard and keep it to myself, but I'm very non-confrontational. At a restaurant I worked at, there was a white guy and a black guy on a first date. They were sitting in a booth and having a good time. White guy gets up to go to the bathroom. When he came back, he sat in the wrong booth with a different black guy. Took him a minute to realize it was a different person. The person he was on a date with was not happy at all. They tried to salvage the date, but it didn't work. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos. Also like the video if you enjoy it.